pleasure to turn the dais over to Chief Ramirez, who can give us an update on recent events, and he'll then introduce some community partners who've been critical in the work on violence reduction. Chief?
Good afternoon. My name is Alex Ramirez, R-A-M-I-R-E-Z. I'm the Chief of Police here for the City of Racine. In the last 24 hours, we had some gun violence, which affected some lives. In particular, we had a woman that was out celebrating, had fun time with her friend on social media, and unfortunately, she got caught in between some crossfire and a bullet struck her, ending her life. And that was early in the morning. Later on, the night before, we had two individuals that decided to go out drinking together. They know each other, and decided to start to argue. And then they took the argument outside, became physical. One produced a handgun and shot the other person in the leg. That person will survive. The reason I'm having this press conference today, I just want to talk a little bit about the gun violence that we've experienced here since the beginning of July, and I'll talk a little bit about what we have up year to date. So far, this July, we've had 15 incidents of shots fired. Within those shots fired, we had 2 deaths, 2 homicides, 6 people struck, some property and vehicles struck. These investigations are open, they're ongoing. We have some persons of interest that we're looking at. Thankful for some of our technology that helps us kind of narrow down some of the individuals that we're looking for. But nevertheless, it's still gunfire and it's violent. One thing I'd like to focus on is that what we've done so far this year on our gun violence. Excuse me here while I rattle some papers. Through the end of June, we've had 47 incidents of shots fired compared to 55 last year. Even though they're trending down, it's 100% for any victim of gunfire. Doesn't matter what the stats say, doesn't matter which way we're trending, it's 100% for that victim. Even though we're trending down, we're going to continue to combat gun violence. I want people who own guns to be responsible. We have reports of guns being stolen out of cars, irresponsible owners leaving guns available to children, causing some of this violence in the city. That is simply unacceptable. We have a strategy of what we're doing here. We know when these incidents happen, what time of day, hours a day, days of the week. We follow that. We have great analysts that helps us gather that data, and we use that data as our tool to combat gun violence and other crimes as well. But simply having that type of gun violence when we've had 15, it's an average of 1 a day here, and we're July 15th, is simply unacceptable. What I'm saying to those individuals that like to use these guns as toys or some sort of way to settle argument, we're going to find you. We're going to prosecute you, and if you're found guilty, you're going to go to jail. It's simple as that. The best crime prevention people that like to do violence is go to jail. That way they're off the street. After the other gentlemen are talking, I will be taking on some questions, a few questions. But I wanted to introduce Council President Maurice Horton, who can say a few words, and then I'll introduce somebody from the, John Tate from the Group Violence Interrupters.
Thank you, Chief. My name is Maurice Horton, M-A-U-R-I-C-E-H-O-R-T-O-N. I am the Common Council President. I also work at Racine County as the Community Violence Prevention Manager. Today is just a day of sadness. One death is one too many. We have continued to work within this community where we work with our young people. We work with those that are 25 and up, and we'll continue to work in this community so that we can have a safer place for Racine, for people to work, play, and live. There has been an uptick, but I want to assure that the efforts that we have put forth have not gone unnoticed. For those people that are out there and to the families that lost a loved one, our prayers go out to you and your family and your loved ones. We will continue to work hard to make sure that we have a community effort, not only from just the GVI aspect, Racine County, and also the Racine Unified School District. We have people throughout the city that are working with young folks, working with people of age, and we will continue to make sure that everyone is included. And to those that are out there in the community that need the resources, resources are here for you, whether it's looking for employment, whether it's trying to find a way out. We're here, and we will leave that information, and anybody can come. Everybody that knows, Racine is a small area, but we're here to support each and every one that's here. And again, my heart go out to those that have lost loved ones. Thank you.
Next up, we have John Tate II from our Group Violence Interrupters.
Thank you, Chief. Good afternoon, everyone. Name's John Tate II, John-Tate, Roman numeral 2. I'm the Director of Community Safety for the City of Racine, and also one of the leads for our Group Violence Intervention Strategy. First, obviously, our condolences out to those who were affected, particularly the young woman who died last night due to gun violence. What our Group Violence Intervention Strategy is about is providing an off-ramp for those who are caught in the cycle of violence. It's a parallel process for accountability for those who commit crimes and cross the line of violence, and prevention for those who have not yet made that fatal error. So what we want to communicate to the community is that not only are police going to respond and hold accountable those who are responsible for violence within our community, but we're also here to help prevent that. And, we'll stop you collectively if we have to, but we'll help you if you let us. That is the mission of this strategy. So for those who are at high risk, we are here. We have a team that's currently out right now trying to engage individuals in the community who may know what happened last night, who may be affected by what happened last night, who might have feelings about wanting to respond to what happened last night, and to encourage them and discourage them from taking those actions into their own hands and allow law enforcement to do their job, but also to give them an off-ramp out of that cycle of violence. The resources that they need, as President Horton mentioned, employment support, therapeutic support if necessary, and just a hand to hold on to as you try and extract yourself from a very difficult cycle of violence. So we are still here collectively as a city and a county and a school district and community partners working to interrupt this violence. And we've made strides, but certainly when things happen, there are questions. So people want to know what we're doing about it. And it's not that we haven't been doing anything at all, but we are ready to respond, and we have a team in place ready to get out back into the community, re-engage the community, and try and interrupt these things before they escalate any further. Chief Ramirez?
Okay, I'm willing to take any questions here, if there are some.
In this morning's incidents, did the club have surveillance video you were able to look at? And did that help you identify who you were looking for?
That investigation's ongoing. There's a number of areas that we are collecting video evidence from.
Do you guys know who you're looking for at this point?
Not at this point.
Do you know
The social media video play a role in this investigation? Is that providing any help at all?
Well, social media, the victims in this, the victim in this particular one, they were on social media, they were out there having a good time, dancing.
So they weren't like live streaming or anything?
They were
when
live
this happened?
streaming that, as far as I know.
When it happened?
Not what had happened, no.
Can you kind of take us through the timeline of early this morning, kind of?
Around 12:35 this morning is when the incident happened. We had individuals out there just enjoying, having fun. Like most young people do, they like to take, and not just young people, like to take videos of themselves, post them on media. And unfortunately, the young lady got caught in some crossfire, which unfortunately took her life. It's just a sad situation.
Was it shooting?
Groups or?
That's still under investigation. We don't know exactly who it was or what the argument was about or how the distance on the two parties that were shooting at each other.
Were they at the club, the shooters?
Unknown. Unknown. We're investigating all that. We're looking into all that.
The
There's a lot of work
victim,
that needs to be done on this particular.
victim was not in a party that was in any sort of confrontation, as far
Not
as
to
you
my
know?
understanding.
Do you know if they ran away or if they got into cars and drove away?
Okay, I have a Deputy Jesse Matoya who oversees investigations and maybe will provide some answers to
Yeah.
that.
So as far as last night's incident was concerned, this were a young woman who was out with one girlfriend. They were just having a nice time in the street, just enjoying summer. There were no groups. This was not a crowded area. They were just out there enjoying themselves, caught entirely as innocent victims between either two parties or other individuals who were completely disregarding anyone else's safety and shooting at each other. And unfortunately, this beautiful member of our community lost her life absolutely senselessly.
Did the shooters Do you know how they got away, or is there a description of a car or
We,
anything
yeah,
like
we don't have
that?
any of that to release to you at this time. It's very fluid. We're following all of our leads carefully and taking in a lot of information from the community. We would love any and all additional that you can give to us. Everybody's got a cell phone these days. You may not even realize that you caught something, but if you were out in that area last night, you just might have found something that we need as a missing piece.
Are you able to identify the woman or share anything about her?
Not at this time, but we will be identifying her in the coming days.
Have you spoken to her family?
We have.
We're now 2 weeks in, excuse me, we're now 2 years into a 3-year grant that the city received to start an Office of Violence Prevention. What is the case you'd make for the public to say that that money is going to good use as we stand here today?
But the three of us work together on gun violence intervention, so I think we could kind of speak to what we're doing first and what our goal is. Plain and simple, as Chief Ramirez has said, there is zero tolerance for gun violence in this community. This started a few years ago when there was quite a rise in gun violence throughout the community. We provide people options for a way out, or frankly, if you don't want to, then you're going to jail and you're going to prison. I don't care, we don't care if you sit down for 30 to 60 days to cool off on some minor charge just to make sure that you're not engaging in gun violence. That's what we'll do. But if we got to send you away for decades or your life, we'll do that too. But our goal is instead we want the entire community to be safe, alive, and free. The free one is is important, but if you're safe and alive and you're in jail or prison, then you're at least got the first two. John?
Yeah. Thank you, DC Matoyer. Appreciate the question. Again, back in 2022 or 3 or so, the city was awarded funds that have been both executed within the city but also shared with our partners in the county. Back in 2022, actually, the Violent Crime Reduction Initiative was launched, a collaborative between the city, the county, Racine Unified School District, and other community partners to create an ecosystem for violence prevention. This department wasn't really established actually until 2024 or so. But what we have seen since that initial response, both collaboration with law enforcement but as well as the social services agency, is a steady decline in overall incidences. And that's with embedding staff within the school district who understand how to engage youth who are at risk. That's with our department coming online and engaging young adults who are out of schools and also underemployed or highly traumatized and caught up in cycles of violence to engage them as well. And then there's also still obviously and necessary good police work to hold people accountable who shoot. But collectively, this approach doesn't work without any of us being at the table. But we are seeing positive dividends. And when we have infrastructure in place, it does give us a chance to respond to upticks in incidents because we're not starting from scratch. We're not engaging people out of nowhere. We're actually tapping into networks that we understand to find out who is feeling the heat in the community, who is prepared to respond in a negative way, and how can we get a hold of them before they choose to make that, before they take that negative option, and how do we deviate from escalating cycles.
How confident are you that the relationships you've built to date will lead to information that leads to the arrest in this particular incident, which sounds especially troubling?
So, to be clear, the relationships that we use aren't necessarily to results in investigations or prosecutions. That's the police's job. Our relationships are to deviate people from making negative choices to escalate conflicts. So police have their role, we have our role. I'm very confident that as the relationship we have generated will have an impact on reaching those who might be on the edge of taking action. My team's already out there engaging people. And I'm also extremely confident that law enforcement is going to do their job very well and ultimately find who's responsible and hold them accountable.
Are you guys concerned about any retaliation in this case, in Tuesday's case?
I mean, Racine's a small community, and everyone's connected to everyone. So anytime someone's lost, the immediate feeling of grief is anger. So we know that someone out there is feeling something. And our goal is to reach them, both be supportive in that grief process, but also to help them slow down their operations so that they don't end up making a choice that they may regret or that might bring more harm to the community.
Chief Ramirez, this was directed to you or the mayor. One of the questions I have, and we've been getting a lot of questions online, is how are we going to hold the people responsible that have that gun? So we had an incident where a young person lost their life because it was a family member's gun, and they ended up loading that gun. How are not just the people that do the violence, but the people that are responsible for the gun going to be held accountable?
I mean, I'm not sure what particular so you talk about. Anytime there, we do investigate where the gun comes from. We look into all that. We trace where the gun comes from. If a young person has a gun in their hand, obviously we want to know if the parent or parents or guardian has knowledge of that. If someone's under 15, there are gun laws to protect, not 15-year-olds and younger should never have a gun. There's gun laws that say if you're 15 or younger, you're not supposed to have it. And if the parents allow access to that gun, they also can be accountable.
What's your message to the community concerned about random violence or being in the wrong place at the wrong time?
Well, one of the things I like to see is that you have a Second Amendment right to own a gun or have a gun. You don't have a right to just use it whenever you want, whether it's shooting in the air or shooting at people. You don't have a right to do that unless you're defending someone else's life. Unfortunately, we've had incidents where people just like to settle arguments, or you've been disrespected on Facebook, or there might be a domestic incident, and they use a gun to settle their differences. And it's my message is be a responsible gun owner, lock your gun up, get a gun lock if you're going to have it at the house, so no children have access to it. If you see something that may be a potential for violence or gun violence, call the police. Let us intervene. Let us settle the disputes. Don't be easy to grab a gun and just shoot somebody, because it affects lives, not only the victim, but the person pulling the trigger.
Chief, as a quick aside, we had an announcement today from the DA's office that they are not going to issue any charges in the case of a previous officer-involved incident. Is there any message you'd want to share with the community as it relates to how the officers themselves are doing, and just a general message to the community as that incident kind of is officially closed from the investigative perspective?
Okay, I haven't read the entire report on that yet, so I don't want to comment on that without reading the final decision from the district attorney. I am aware of it. That decision came out today. So no comment on that particular thing, but I know that our officers are often faced with a lot of gun violence that they respond to. They go to shootings, and we had 15 incidents so far. That's one each day here, averaging out. But officers respond to gun violence. We have to respond to gun violence. This is nothing that they take lightly. This is nothing that I take lightly. Being a responsible gun owner is so important. Like I said, we have vehicles that get broken into, and guns are stolen. That's how some people get guns. It'd be nice to get put a lock on it, put it in a safe, and just be responsible. Do not use guns to settle arguments.
Real quick, are those two officers back on? Are those two officers back on duty? Are they kind of back
No,
on
we have
patrol?
procedures for officers. No, not yet. Those officers, we have procedures for officers that are when they get involved in a critical incident.
Do you know how many of the guns used in this recent uptick were stolen or otherwise obtained illegally? Like, we've had issues, in Milwaukee with ghost guns. Can you tell us anything, if you guys are tracking anything like
We
that?
track everything. We track all the cases that we have. I know that we had, since October 2021, we have what they call 631 habitual guns. That means they've been used in 2 incidents or more. Out of those, we've recovered 400 plus of those guns. I know that there are at least 1,100 guns out there that have been used at least once in the city of Racine.
For a case like the nightclub one, this most recent incident, how vital is community tips specifically? Is this something that you feel like this
Extremely
is more
important.
likely to be solved because someone's going to say something?
What helps us are good witnesses, getting tips. We follow all the leads that we can get. Technology has helped us. These gentlemen back here help us a lot in to prevent some of the violence, to interrupt it. We work like with Racine Unified School District. We work with a number of people, a lot of community members to help us to bring this violence down. We want people to be free, safe, and we want them to walk out in the street. We have pockets, we have clusters of areas that we pay a lot of concentration to, but the shootings that's happened here in the city of Racine have been spread out, different locations. Shots fired, people use it to celebrate the 4th of July, the New Year's. They'd like to shoot their guns. We had a young kid, the individual got hit by a stray bullet that fell out of the sky. Things like that happen. It's unfortunate.
Are you aware of any previous responses to this business? Is there
What
any concern
particular
whether that was
business?
a nuisance type business?
This morning's incident is not tied to a business. We have not tied it to
Yeah.
a business.
Okay.
Ramirez, this one's for you and the chief, for you and the mayor. You keep saying tips and stuff like that. Is the program to get businesses a program where you guys get access to the cameras and you guys give funding for that? Can you tell us a little bit more about that program so if people would like to
Yeah.
If someone
Yeah.
would like to explain that a little bit more so that we
Sure.
can get that information to the community.
Sure. Excellent question. Thank you so much for that. So we do right now have a program through the Department of Community Safety for community cameras. It's up to $150 for a residential reimbursement or $250 for a business reimbursement. And the only expectation in engaging with that program is registering that camera with law enforcement so that if something does happen where you're located, law enforcement knows there's a camera in that area and they can come and ask for that footage. It's not compulsory. You don't have to. But the expectation would be like if you're doing that, you want to contribute your piece to safety of the community. So that does exist. You can go to the City of Racine website under the Department of Community Safety and apply for that online. Again, $150 for residential properties, renters included, and up to $250 for businesses. Thank you.
Chief Ramirez, since you guys have the strategy that you've been putting in place to try and combat this violence, but when you're averaging 1 shots fired call a day this month, is there any changes that you consider to that strategy or anything new that you implement to that strategy?
We look at every shots fired. We dig deep in them to see what, time of day, things like that. Who's doing it? Where's it coming from? Is there any particular location that where it's being caused most? We look at all that, and we strategize that way. We'll deploy our resources in those areas during certain times of day when these things are happening.
So you really focus on the
Predictive analysis is what we use.
How many homicides in Racine have there been this year?
There's been
compared to
4.
the same time last year?
4 this year, compared to last year. Yeah. There's 4. Yeah, it's 4 this year compared to this time last year.
Same question for shots fired?
Shots fired, I have those stats here in front of me. Shots fired, we're actually, I don't want to see, we're actually, even though we're down, it's still very important to us that our shots fired are at 47 this year, 55 last year at this time.
Can you recall the last time there were 2 homicides in 1 month in this?
I'd have to do some, yeah. January, I know that we had,
Yeah.
January 1, 2024, at a tavern, we had
Okay.
double homicide.
Is there any description you can give of the shooters or anything to help people out? And then on that same vein, should people be concerned, is there any concern for public safety with these shooters still out?
Jess, you want to answer that? Maybe to
Yeah.
Brandon.
We're not prepared
Step
to,
to the podium.
sure. We're not prepared to release any specifics regarding the suspects' descriptions. We are always concerned, right, when any time people are out and about, if we have random gun violence occurring. However, Chief Ramirez and Deputy Chief Adam Malacara and myself are directing resources from both of our divisions who will be out and about, providing heavy extra attention over the weekend and throughout the summer to continue, which we want to assure the community that we are deploying more resources, and we will be out there in addition to all of the things that we do behind the scenes as well.
What would you say are the root causes of gun violence in Racine?
I'll take it. I mean, the causes of gun violence in general are broad. I think one of the core things we find is, particularly when it comes to retaliatory, poor anger management, poor socialization, poor skills in resolving conflict. And we see this as multi-generational. Certainly there's a strong association and correlation with poverty and previous trauma. But obviously, gun violence doesn't happen without access to guns, period. And I think that's a huge factor as well, because DC Matoria will tell you, the number of guns circulating within our community and this country as a whole usually outnumber the people that exist there. And I think that's a core component that we have to address when we think about how are people getting access to firearms, both from a security perspective, but also just making sure that laws are abided by in terms of who gets firearms in the first place. I will note, in our department, we do offer gun locks just for those who have legal firearms to protect themselves and their homes and their households. But, gun violence can't happen without the weapon itself. Outside of that, people might be getting punched in the face as opposed to shot. So we do need to recognize that that's a large component to people shooting each other, is poor conflict resolution, but then when you add a gun to it, it escalates the outcomes exponentially. So, thank you.
What are you doing to support citizens that may still be frustrated and violent despite these efforts?
Could you repeat that so everyone can hear you?
Yeah, what are you doing to support support citizens that may still be frustrated with the violence despite the efforts that you listed?
Well, we're always listening to our citizenry. I mean, if people have frustrations, those are legitimate. I mean, anytime anyone's shot, you know, as Chief Ramirez said, any incident is 100% for you. So whether we're going down a few percentage points every year or not, if you experience it, that is everything. So we have to acknowledge that and continue to operate with our intentions around that. Our goal is to get to zero. We want no one to be affected by these things. And I think it's important to articulate that there are efforts in place for those that don't know about them and what those efforts look like and how they can be successful, but also that it doesn't matter how much progress we're going to make. We're never going to take our foot off the pedal in terms of getting to zero, because no one should be affected, no one should suffer, no one should be victimized by gun violence in our community when we have resources and supports and ultimately the information and know-how to get ahead of these things. Thank you.
For those listening online, can you guys tell us the numbers and the websites to make tips for the police department?
Yes. So we have it listed on Facebook, on our Facebook page, which you can check out there as well. But for anyone that wants to report information, you're encouraged to call our Detective Bureau at 262-635-7756. You also are more than welcome to contact Crime Stoppers. That is completely anonymous, and that phone number is 262-636-9330. You can also contact Crime Stoppers through the P3 tips, which I do not have a link for you here, but I'll make sure that there's one on our Facebook page that you can directly access online tips.
Thank you.
Close out?
Thank you, everyone, for being here.
Thank you.
I know, I'm sorry, I turned off the air so that you guys can hear.